I had to bring you a big treat to Bamboo House. One of the big fishes. You know, you can't catch this one in the water because they're going to give you some trouble, boy. You give you some trouble, you can't catch this one. Of course, the deputy leader of the now and, of course, member of parliament, Claudius Buncamper. Good day to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Andrew. How are you doing?
You know, I on summer tour and I decided, you know, I gotta make sure give everybody some time, you know, give the pulse of the people what the latest is, what's going on. Of course, you continue to inform us on a weekly basis with the podcast. Thank you so much for that because I learn more in the years that I've been in politics from you in the 2 hours or 3 hours that you do your podcast every Monday.
Well, thank you. I try to, look, the podcast is something that I used to do it when I was in office, but it was less frequent. It was
Yeah.
really if there was an event
Yeah.
and I didn't have the floor. I had the floor of parliament that time, so I could easily go to the floor. But sometimes you still want to give a little extra
Yeah.
and break it down in such a way that you don't have the time in parliament or you didn't have the information that time. So that's how the podcast was born, actually. But when I got suspended, I wanted to ensure that I didn't lose touch with
With the
the
people, yeah.
people of St. Martin.
Yeah.
So I decided to do the podcast. And I started off with looking at the newspapers from Monday to Friday,
Yeah.
take out the
Compile it,
highlights,
yeah.
compile them, but also look at the story, because not every story is the full story. And you come from the media world, you know that sometimes sensationalization
Yeah.
of a story trumps the truth of the
Yeah.
story, and that's sometimes so unfortunate. But
Yeah.
it is a reality. It sells the paper, it sells the broadcast. So the media will do what the media has to do to survive. But I will also then do what I
Okay.
believe is best for the
Yeah.
public of St. Martin by giving them the information as accurate as I can. I do my research. Remember those days, I didn't have no political affiliation of, I was wondering if I could run again or
Yeah.
not. No. It was just, let me get the information out there and keep it as truthful as I can, and you listen to people, sometimes they tell you something, you say, I don't think that's true. And it makes you go back, and when you do the research, you
you're like,
realize,
yeah.
boy, the spin doctors, I thought they used to be out of office, but a bunch of them are in office
In
right
office.
now.
And you got people coming out of the woodwork, you know, coming in and giving their take on what's going on in
Look,
politics.
everybody has a right to voice their opinion. I always say when you voice your opinion, at least don't voice it for the sensation of it. Voice it because you want to make a difference. You truly want to mean different to what we have right now. Not everything we have is good, but not everything we have is bad either. So you got to be able to be honest enough when you do a podcast to say, I will praise you for this, but I will
Be
touch you
critical, yeah.
and critical with you
Yeah.
on this matter. And I look at it from the legal aspect, from the policy aspect that you said as government, this is what we are going to do. So if this is what you're going to do and you're not doing it, then I'm going to call you out on it. And some people get offended. Oh, you're picking on this one. I ain't picking on nobody.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for example, my little friend Durant is I come from that ministry. So I know that ministry in and out
In
for
and
24 years.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna pull no wool over my eyes, and you ain't gonna come and give me no Nancy story and believe I ain't gonna say nothing about it. So he sometimes gets
Most of the
more
slack.
attention
Yeah.
than others would get because I'm not versed in every ministry. I'm well versed in a lot of it, but I'm not versed in everything. So, like when you take Bearing Point, for example, I have a lot of respect for the Minister of Finance, but there's a lot that's not kosher in the Bearing Point case. And it's unfortunate that we have taken the country 2 steps back in this whole tax
Yeah.
plan that we were going to have. Because remember, it is not the Bearing case point that bothered me so much. It is the time that we have lost playing these games of cat and mouse.
Back and
Because
forth,
when
yeah.
you read the verdict of the judge, there are a few things that are so difficult to swallow. And one of them is there was no reason to stop the Bearing Point contract. This is the judge. The judge says that the Jacobs cabinet was very vague in their reasoning to stop it. That's one.
Yeah.
Two, you end up now paying 12, 13 million guilders to Bearing Point in a lawsuit. Plus, you got to pay the new company that come in of 15 million. So you're back to the 30 million that Bearing Point had asked for in day one. The difference is we are 5 years further.
Yeah.
How much money have we lost in these 5 years had this program been implemented,
Yeah.
had the country moved forward? Remember, BZK was in favor of Bearing Point and opted to pay. Remember, they made 30 million available?
Yeah.
Good. That 30 million was the contract from Bearing Point. The Dutch had agreed with it. They came in and they changed it. And where are we today? As soon as the Dutch realized what was happening with this whole tax thing, they pulled the money
Yeah.
and said, we're going to put it in Coho.
Yeah. Right.
People,
Because
people,
we
people, people
entrusted
just
you. We
forget.
entrusted you.
Thank
We
you.
entrusted you with
People
it.
forget what really happened.
Mm-hmm.
But if we were to make 30 million a year in additional tax revenues, and we have now been off limits for 3 years, 4 years, that's about 90 to 120 million guilders we could have made in additional taxes. And that's my problem with Bearing Point. It's not about the minister, it's not about the company, it's about what's happening to the country
And how it was handled.
unnecessarily.
And how it was handled.
Yes, it's all unnecessary.
Now, the No Party, how things going? We hearing different things, so you can at least tell us what's true, what's not true. You forming with DP, yes or no?
Again, we haven't even had elections, Andrew, and people want to talk about we farming with a look. To my knowledge, and I'm speaking now as Claudius Buncamper. I'm not speaking as the deputy leader because we haven't had this meeting with the party about who we join in with. There were rumors that the USP was going to join us. There were rumors the doctor was going to join us. There were rumors that the DP is going to join us. When you said join, what do you mean? That somebody leaving their name behind and they coming to the Now Party? Or is the Now Party dropping its name and going to... If that is the case, the answer is no.
Okay.
The answer is no. The Now Party is running the elections under the Now.
Okay.
There is going to be, to my knowledge, all the meetings I've had with the leader of the party, at no point in time have we discussed that. That parties might come together after the elections, that's a different story. Now, a lot of people, you know, the old political strategy was always form alliances before the election start.
Yeah.
And I always say, you're going to elections, you're going to go to win.
Yeah.
Don't
go to
make alliances
Yeah.
that you then deceive your voters.
Yeah.
Because they said, if I knew they were going to do that, I would never vote for them.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, you're going as the Now, and when you win as the Now, because we are going to win, we are going to get seats.
You see?
I'm not talking about one seat.
No.
I'm talking seats. I use in plural. We are going to get it, and we are going to be sitting at the negotiating table to form the new government. Then you will look what's best for your country. Not what's best for your party, how much ministers you can pull out of it. What's best, which combination would be best for country St. Martin moving forward. That's what I stand for, and that's what the Now stands for.
No, of course, as far as the candidates is concerned, there is, of course, yesterday I had the privilege of interviewing one of the new candidates who's very close to you. Why is she not going on the No Party? What why will we splitting families now, Mr. MP Buncamper?
Okay.
What are we doing?
Let me, first of all, you're talking about a niece of mine.
Yes, and your niece.
4 years ago, she wanted to run. And I had asked her to step back because I was running. And she humbly did so. She has a desire to serve her people too. It would be unfair of me to ask her to step back again. So I will wish her all the best wherever she goes. I think she is running with a different party. I didn't hear my party's name fall. But again, at the end of the day, it is that she stands for what she believes in, and she goes out and sells her program. I wish her all the best. You know, it's no hard feelings for me. I understand. In every country, it is the norm that parties always try to ensure that they balance families and that all the votes of one big family don't go one place.
Yeah.
So you see, you got about 15 Richardsons running on the different parties because it's a big family. You understand?
Yeah.
And then you have Flemings or whatever. But it's normal. But no, I wish her all the best. I really wish her all the best.
You see, man, I can't trip up MP Buncamper, you know. I can't trip him up at all.
But there's
Let me talk.
there's nothing to trip there.
I understand. I understand. No, of course, this government, the elections, it's pretty sad that up to now we can't get a day for the elections, and it looks like we've been getting issues with the press briefings for the past 2 weeks, whereby it's being cancelled at the last minute. Today, reporters arrived, ministers came late, and then at the last minute, they decided to cancel it again. And when we ask questions concerning the elections, or at least postulation, at least give us a timeline. We get annoyance, like we're annoying them, because it's almost as if it's not owed to the people of St. Martin when it comes to the elections. Like, it has to come. You can't run away from it.
Two things there, Andrew. Look, elections are every 4 years, which means the next election should be someplace in January 2024. The previous one was January 8th and 9th, I believe, 2020.
Yeah.
And there's an X amount of days in between. You got to do it. Postulation, I believe, is 90 days before election. So calculate yourself any place in October,
Yeah.
postulation to take place. There's a little bottleneck. So right now, the Prime Minister is running with the concept of, listen, stop asking, January is elections.
Yeah.
Reality check, Madam Prime Minister. Elections in Holland are in November. And guess what? Right now, there's no fix yet with liquidity support. There's no fix. If the end of August, there's no fix, I think the Prime Minister knows just as good as me and anybody else that follows the Dutch media that the second chamber will put the debating of the liquidity loans on hold.
Yeah.
It means that come October 2023, St. Martin as country will default on the loans, and St. Martin will lose its financial position in this world, which will affect the airport, which will affect GB and TLM and all those different companies that have loans with ratings on Moody. Today, America lost its AAA rating and it became a AA plus rating because they have been doing bad financially for the past 2 decades. St. Martin has a problem, not of its own making necessarily, that this government caused the 1.3 or 1.5 billion deficit, but this government unfortunately did sign the bullet loans agreeing to October 2023 during their governing period.
Correct.
That they would mature. And unfortunately, the economic recovery has not
Taken
taken
fast.
off the
Yeah.
way they thought. Last year,
As
10
predicted.
years.
Yeah.
This year is going to be 3% increase alone of the economy, and it might shrink yet depending on how this second or third or fourth quarter
Yeah.
of
Still looking good so far, but anyway.
with
Yeah.
America sneezing, we pick up a cold, and now you notice fuel gone up again.
Yeah.
So with fuel going up, a lot of things will get more expensive again, including GB, including groceries, including transportation. Those are 3 things that hit you right away.
Yeah.
So the government's going to have a problem to deal with this and sell this if the Dutch government that is elected is a more right government than it is right now. Which means, and that's how it's looking right now, the BBB, the Partij van de Boeren, these people did such a significant impact in the first chamber elections that they might do the same thing in the second chamber. Now, that party is, you're talking about people that think a lot like the far right.
I was just about to say.
And then you might have a problem where they're going to say, listen, we don't want nothing to do with these people down in the Caribbean. Let them pay what they owe us and let them go their way.
Go their way.
So I don't think the
Yeah.
Prime Minister wants to have that discussion during her election from November to January.
Yeah.
So I have a strong feeling that our elections is going to be close all around the Dutch elections. I sincerely believe that. They will use the excuse of, then the Christmas is taken out of the arena, people can have a decent Christmas, everybody's relaxed. Whatever excuse it is, the media asking for clarity, it should be given.
Yeah.
And she said, though, in August, I will let you all know when the election date is.
It's August
And
now.
if you take August and you put 3 months on that, you're in November.
Exactly.
Good. So if she says postulation is the 15th or the 21st, 22nd or the 29th of August, then so be it. 90 days later, there's election.
There's the election.
And that the Dutch election just passed, they will have enough play yet to be able to maneuver. I want to believe that's what's going to happen. That's what I can read in between the lines when it comes to the election and the politics of Samantha.
All right. Education is something that continues to suffer on the island with back to school happening. Summer just barely survived summer, now going back to school. We noticed that some MPs, particularly MP George Pantiflet, wrote a roaring letter to the editor where he said that, you know, it's going to be scary for the parents this school year because of the amount of school fees and everything gone up and everything is expensive. And I said to myself, this must be the first time ever that we start in school in St. Martin.
You
What do you
know,
think about the education and the ability of a MP that supports the government? Yes, he's being vocal about it, but
no,
he could do more.
not being vocal, it means he's being sarcastic, in my opinion. Because if he wanted to be vocal and if he wanted to make an impact,
Mhm.
he should have asked that there was a budget amendment made. We all know things are tough. So, how many people we have going to school? 8,000, 10,000 students? Say all school fees cause 500 guilders, average across the board. You got 10,000, put a 5 in front of that, that's 50,000, put 2 zeros behind it, 5 million guilders. Find 5 million guilders and put it into the school system. Then don't build a road or don't build something. Stop flying all over the place. Stop keeping all kind of things that you don't need to and put in money. Put the money into the education if you really want to make a difference. But you see, in St. Martin, we have what we call the blah blah and V. We keep talking because people like to hear it. We got free hair trims. We got school bags. We giving us all kind of things. But the one thing we're not doing is packing up the Minister of Education that has the education system in a fiasco.
Mm.
The man wants to change the top brass of the education world right now while we are busy reconstructing the education ministry and field. There was a country package, a whole review was done. They're working on everything, and he wants to change the players midstream.
Yeah.
And nobody says nothing, and everybody looking up, okay, let me go do some hair trimming, and let me go do a little bag here. Listen, we can't be serious when we behave this way, and then we put out a newspaper article, parents are panicking. Parents ain't panicking. Parents don't have work that is giving them enough money to pay the school fees. So you're not fixing that economically either. No, what you're going to do is create a bigger marketplace so we can put more vendors there. Vendors that don't even make minimum wage. We are not serious. We are not diversifying our economy. We are not trying to find new niches. We are not doing that. And if we don't do that, we're going to remain the same way we are right now. And then we want to cry about crime, and we want to cry about high prices in the stores, and we want to cry about the education system, but we are not doing nothing. We're not doing nothing. We're not doing anything to fix it. And I'm not saying, oh, it's the minister's fault alone. No, because it's not. One minister don't run this country, even though one believes he is, but they don't. It is the Council of Ministers that runs it.
Solutions.
There are solutions. Look, let me explain you a few things. If you speak with the Dutch, because you have to learn to work with them.
Yeah.
We can fight them all we want,
Yeah.
but we are not in their position economically nor financially. None of the two. So we can talk to them and say, listen, we owe you money. We know we owe you a lot of money come October.
Yeah.
But can we get the money that we had to pay you back and invest it into education? Can we get, like in Curacao, that's what they're doing. Curacao spoke to them. Ask them, let us use the money into our educational system so we can rebuild and enhance. But we don't do nothing. We don't even have a discussion with them. That is a simple way of getting a few million guilders to alleviate the problem. Listen, you know how many children go to school hungry every day?
Yeah.
So you worry about school fee? You better start worrying about people eating.
Yeah.
Because when people don't eat,
You know
people
what?
don't get angry because
A
they want to
hungry
take care
man
of
is
their
a
child.
hungry man. Yeah.
And they start to do bad things.
Yeah.
Now, I am not going to justify the robberies, the gun robberies with people, because these youngsters, they're just looking for easy cash.
Yeah.
I think we have, though, a structural problem when it comes to the whole social well-being of 70+% of our community.
So talk to the Dutch.
I have spoken out about it. 70% plus of our community earns less than $3,500 a month, which is the livable wage in Curacao. We're supposed to be 16.3% higher, but let's stick to the 3,500. 70% of the working population of St. Martin, insured by SFV, earns less. But you worrying and you wondering about a market or about a road, you can't be serious. You cannot be serious.
Um, this morning on Billy D, the Theo Heiliger was on. He spoke about some solutions, some problems, his observation on how things are going, and of course, because it's a political season, people still regard him as influential in the whole political structure. However, he's not running, so it's like almost a moot point. Um, did you get to listen to it?
No, I did not. They sent it to me. I will listen to it eventually. But I think you said it correctly. Look, everybody has a time. There's a time you're in season, there's a time you're out of season.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of controversy. He has had a court case just like me, and he has now a sentence that I think they're working on.
Yeah.
No, I think the former MP has a lot of knowledge of what can be done and how it can be done. The problem is those that need to listen to the knowledge and implement the knowledge are not going to do that.
Yeah.
There's a major fight between him and the party he came from. So about, I think they use the word hijacking and all those type of
Yes,
things.
leadership and so on. Yeah.
And I'm saying, listen, that ain't gonna help St. Martin. That discussion ain't gonna help St. Martin. You know which discussion helps St. Martin? The one we're gonna have in The Hague, and figure out how do we move from
Forward.
here forward? How do we work on our social economics? And social economics, you want to fix it, then let's fix things that we can fix, but we don't want to fix. Like agriculture, like fisheries, like animal husbandry. Those things we can fix. We have people that do planting. We have people that have animals. We have people that have boats. Why can't we structure that?
Yeah, it's not reinventing the wheel.
And let me go straight into where I wanted to go a long time ago. Why are we missing out on the billion-dollar industry weed?
The cannabis.
Why are
Oh,
we
yes.
missing out? We have people that import it here. We have people that plant it here. We have people that distribute it here. And we have a lot of people that smoke it here. But you know what? We got to bring in Canadians to do it for us. We got to give somebody a dig in someplace to get a little something. I got a fundamental problem with that.
Yeah.
I spoke about it. I asked the government, please introduce the tolerance policy. There is not, you know who has to agree with it? The prosecutor general. That's it.
That's it.
Once the prosecutor general agrees that they are not going to charge people for smoking or having less than 5 grams on them,
Yeah.
the judge can't pick you up on the road and say, I'm going to send you to jail now. No, the prosecutor got to bring the case. So if the prosecutor doesn't bring the case, there is no case.
There is no case.
That's the tolerancy. So it's the prosecutor general in Curacao that has to address this. And this was supposed to be addressed. But the Minister of Justice promised me so long ago, and I promise sometimes a comfort to a fool, but I'm not a fool. So I am going to call them out because we have time to do all kind of different things. To mess up the people.
We actually be building a prison. We're going to build a prison.
Because we prefer to build a prison than to take care of our people in our country. And that's unfortunately.
Oh, my gosh. All right. As far as the campaigning is concerned for the No Party, are you? It's ongoing. So, what are some of the events that is coming up?
Look, we have a good bit of candidates now that we have to roll out, and the leader is preparing the rollout together with the board. We're going to be showing, I believe, about six to seven new faces in the coming month and a half. We have some nice, talented people that have joined the party. In politics, they always tell you, postulation is, who you have and who you don't have.
That's
because families they start to fight, and that's why candidates don't like to be shown too early, because families then start to try to interfere and block it. Like I said, my niece, I wish her well. I'm not going to interfere. I wish them well. I think families should wish their family members that want to step into the arena and try to do something good for this country. They should wish them well and support them instead of trying to fight them and tell them you're running with the wrong party, you should be running with that one. No, they are running with where they feel comfortable, where they feel at home. Your manifesto determines a lot for you.
Correct.
And I always tell people, financial independence is the best independence you can have.
Hence the reason for the party name. Yeah.
Nation, opportunity, and wealth. And we want to ensure that we can bring financial independence to this country. We all want to be our own boss. To be our own boss, we got to be able to pay our own bills and stop asking for grants and gifts and all kind of things.
Yeah.
That's what the NOW stands for. That's where we want to go. But to achieve that, you're going to have to make sacrifices and you're going to have to make some harsh decisions. You're going to have to do that. And if you're not willing to do that, then this is the wrong profession for you.
The decolonization or the charter review or the thinking of becoming a community in the whole Dutch system. What's your stance? Your party stance on that?
I think there is no stance because that is not a choice for the party. That is a choice for the population of St. Martin to make. What we have to do is in the program, when you form a governmental program, if we have campaigned on it and if we agreed on it, then have a referendum. Let the people of St. Martin voice their position on, do I want to be the second S in best? Do I want to remain what I am? Do I want independence? Do I want a municipality in Holland directly with Holland? Look, there are choices you can make.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, to go out and say, oh, this is what I stand for. No, I can't stand for something if we have never spoken to the people about it.
Okay.
We have the Independence Committee that has a position on it. They were in Parliament, and I think let a referendum determine that. And that's what I said. When you want to speak about independence, there should be a path to independence. And one of those paths is a referendum. The people must speak. Personally, I think a lot of people are very scared right now on giving up a passport, not knowing what's on the other side of the fence, seeing the situations that we have in the world when it comes to price control. Remember, we have no say in these things. When it comes to wars, protecting yourself, I mean, look, if Russia could go into a big country like Ukraine, what does it mean for another country coming in St. Martin and say, okay, I'm going to take you over?
I will take it over. Or you can't have it on yourself.
Or the French say, well, let me make this now.
Yeah.
Saint Martin complete.
Saint Martin
You know,
complete, yeah.
again, there are a lot of things that you have to look at when you have these discussions. I think sometimes people simplify things too much. And not
Without actually
explaining the population what's the pros and the cons, you know? And you have to look at it from a holistical view. And this government doesn't have that helicopter view yet.
I was just about to say.
They don't have the helicopter view to go down that road, so please, we won't be hearing about it. No, you won't be hearing it now for sure.
Yeah, it's just we try to cover all the hot button topics from this campaign that is coming. The last but not least is this week we broke a story. Late night broke a story of the Dr. Rhoda Ironell going to the Howard University for a year to do lecturer there, to be a lecturer there. And of course it came with some people say it's bittersweet, some people say we're losing a St. Martiner to the world, it's brain drain. But what do you personally think about it? What do you personally think about it, Andrew?
First of all, I don't think we have a brain drain. Let me explain why we don't have a brain drain. We are so digitalized that we can have Facebook discussions with classrooms. So brain drain, no, there is none.
Zoom, Facebook, everything.
I think it's more a matter of pride, country pride. Here we have one of the few doctors, professors with a PhD. And mind you, she did it in Caribbean language, colloquial St. Martin English. She majored in that, she doctorate, her PhD in that in Puerto Rico at the university. Rhoda is a hardworking person, knows her onions well. Rhoda has political views that some people don't support. But again, you cannot punish people because of their political views. Just respect them and differ. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's for a year. I hope that within a year, there'll be a new government sitting, a new policy on how we should move forward with languages, tertiary education, and we should be able to find a place for our Dr. Arundel in our community, even if it's in government running a linguistic department. And really, we don't do what we can do. We only jump up and try to say, oh God, look what happened after the fact. And I'm saying this is the problem I have. We don't have proactive thinking. We have a reactive thinking. and the action that we do. Only when things go wrong, then we run, come forward, and we start to complain. That's why in my podcast, when I am critical about something, I've always made it my business to give a solution and say, you can do this or you can do that. Not everything might be possible, but at least I don't want to just criticize without giving a solution, a plausible solution that I believe can work and can materialize.
Thank you so much for coming on a late night tour. Of course, this was good. We gotta have you back. Of course, we will have you back. Because we're gonna see you in the trenches for the upcoming election period. It's already started. What do you say to all the candidates out there, MP Buncamper?
You know, let me look at you straight
Yes,
and
please.
say this. Politics doesn't need to be a nasty game. We can make it as nasty as we want, but that will be to the detriment of country St. Martin. I think when you come with your story, when you come with your solutions, come with honesty. Show what can be done. Show how you plan to do it. Now has a manifesto that we believe will work. We are going to show our manifesto to the world, not only to all you here, because it's going to be online, so the world can look at it, including the Dutch, those in Aruba and Curacao. But you must remember this. You're running elections for the Senate of St. Martin, the Parliament of St. Martin, not for a minister's position, not for anything else. You must be willing to understand what you're postulating yourself for and what is required of you. A lot of hard work and a lot of honesty. And if you really have that intent, then yes, the elections is a good place to go and try to win the votes from the people. Because people have changed. The Johnny Cake and Chicken Leg era is over. And people are going to offer you money. They're going to offer you money for your vote. Take it and burn them when you reach the poll. Because if they believe you worth $300 for 4 years, that means that's $75 a year. That's divided now by 365 days. You're going to notice that you won't even worth a decent pot. That is when you take money. Then you can't ball what you get.
I think a helicopter just passed from the government with the helicopter view.
It is what it is, Andrew. It is what it is.
All right. Until tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye bye.